Hello and welcome to the Power Chat, sponsored by Live Great Lives Holistic Wellness Coaching. I am your host, Dr. Angela Harden-Mack, the founder and CEO of Live Great Lives and the go-to wellness coach for busy professional women. It's all about empowering women with those personalized solutions that unlock vibrant health and vitality that leads to work-life balance, that transforms hustle into harmony. And this is the Power Chat because it's all about empowering her. Well, we are here. I'm here with my very special guest, my partner, as we talk about a topic, change, that's so important. And we are discussing this really cool book called Out of the Maze, and we're going to show it to you momentarily. And this is the sequel. Check out the bottom of the screen. This is the sequel to Who Moved My Cheese. So you want to go ahead and grab your pencil, grab your paper, because we're going to talk to you about some things. And I believe that you are going to be just as excited about this book as we are. Now, this is part one. So we're going to drop some gems and bring in some things here, and then join us for the next part two, when we'll go ahead and talk more. So Tiffany Easley, welcome to the studio. How are you? And the audience wants to know who you are. Tiffany.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Angela Harden-Mack, for actually having me back for part two, because part one was amazing, right? It was so many gems. It was so much fun. And the book is powerful. It's a short, quick read, but so many nuggets. So who is Tiffany R. Easley? I am the source strategist, and I have two areas of business that I focus on. My first area as a source strategist is to help women overcome challenges, live meaningful lives, and learn how to soar. The second part of my business is all about self-care. So I help, again, professional women, specifically those women who are all about luxury and excelling while living in the corporate world, right? Really have those meaningful conversations and prioritizing self-care with candles. You heard me right, candles. So my company actually curates clean candles to help you experience self-care in your office, in your organizations, or even in the privacy of your own home. That's what I do, and I absolutely enjoy it. But I'm here today to talk about Out of the Maze, because let me tell you something, y'all, this is some good stuff. So thank you again, Dr. Angela, for having me here. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait till we dive in.
Yes, and thank you so much. Tiffany, we have been working together probably about 2 or 3 years now. We always have such an amazing time. And I meant to say that because amazing is the subtitle of the book. And we have worked on a number of projects together. We have been on stages together, and we have similar values. And we're about uplifting women and empowering women, and wellness, so important. And she's going to talk about her candle a little bit later. So they smell so wonderful. So we are about empowering women, and it is about taking care of yourself. So we are ready to tell you about it. We're going to pick up this first book, Who Moved My Cheese? Now, this book is a classic, and on here it says over 28 million copies sold worldwide. The first printing was in 1998. Now, I've read it a number of times. Tiffany has read it a number of times. Churches have read it. Corporations have done it. Personal self-care individuals, personal growth and self-care. And this is one that I pick up periodically because it's so good. And so we're diving into this time just the summary of the first book, and then Out of the Maze is the sequel that was published just a few years ago in 2018. So we want to open up Who Moved My Cheese, and we want to introduce you to the characters. We want to introduce you to, why is this cheese, why do we talk about this cheese? And we're going to talk about the maze because it is important, and we're setting the stage for the discussion of Out of the Maze. So Tiffany, take it away, because we want to learn about parts of all of us.
So, guys, as Dr. Angela and I have said, we love this book. So you're going to hear the excitement in our voice. You're going to hear the excitement in the discussion. But like she said, there is a part of all of us represented in this book. And what I'm about to talk to you about are the characters in this book. And what I would share with you is, think about which part of each character you are, because trust me, there's a little bit of you in every character, because there's a little bit of me in every one of these characters, whether it's this area of your life now, this phase of your life now, if it was a previous phase. I saw the evolution of myself, the evolution of my business, the evolution of my brand in both Who Moved My Cheese and the sequel, Out of the Maze. So with that being said, I'm just going to break down the 4 characters. I'm going to give you a little snippet of who they are and kind of how they play, and then we're going to keep on with the discussion. So there are 4 imaginary characters here. Sniff and Scurry, the little people, which is him and Ha. So Sniff and Scary are mice, thus Who Moved My Cheese, right? And then the little people are him and Ha. Now, these are intended to represent the simple and the complex parts of ourselves, regardless of our age, our gender, race, or nationality. That in itself is a timeful discussion, right? So let's put on our self-reflection glasses. I have on real glasses, but self-reflection glasses. Sometimes we may act like Sniff. Sniff is kind of the one that sniffs out change early. That would be me. I'm always looking for, okay, what's coming around the corner? I feel something coming. We changing, something ain't right. I feel something different. Or sometimes we may be Scurry, who scurries into action, or we might be him, who denies and resists change due to fear it will lead to something worse. You know, the glass half empty versus the glass half full. Not saying it's a bad thing, because again, you will begin to see yourself in all these characters. And then finally, the 4th character is Ha, who learns to adapt in time when he sees changing can lead to something better. Whatever parts of us we choose to use, we all share something in common. A need to find our way in the maze. I like to look at the maze as life. This maze is life. You know, we got to find our way. We got to figure out when we're going to change, how we're going to change, if we're going to change, and then how that change is going to impact our business, our life, personal, professional, spiritual, mental, whatever. And then, and how to succeed in those changing times. So that's a little snippet of the people that we're going to deal with in the story.
And Tiffany, as you mentioned, you know, these represent parts of us. And I'm not the earliest adopter, because when we talk about change, people can be like the earliest. Then you have that, like that next stage of early adoption. That will be me in change. And you have people like, no, I'm not going to change. You got to show me a lot of it. Then you have people who are the latest, or people who never adopt to change. So I'm like in that second tier, like, I'm not the last, but it's like, okay, I want to see just a little bit before it goes on. And I, like you, when I read the story and I read it, I can see parts of me in those different places. Sometimes I am right there sniffing it out, ready to go. And sometimes it's like, take action. Well, Who Moved My Cheese, the book tells us, is a story about what takes place in the maze. And I agree with Tiffany. Life can feel like a maze sometimes. If you've ever gone into a maze, you know, you go down a trail, and sometimes it's a wall, then you have to backtrack, and then you have to go. And once you find your path through the maze, you actually exit. So the maze represents where you spend your time looking for what you want. Whether it's in your personal life, whether it's in your professional life, whether it's related to your finances, what have you, it's where we are looking for it. And the book tells us that cheese is the metaphor for what we want to have in life. Do you want romance? Do you want great health? Do you want money? Do you want a house? Do you want a career? The things that matter to us. And so I remember our last discussion when we talked about cheese, and in the story, it talked about different types of cheese. Some people like cheddar. What type of cheese do you like, Tiffany?
I love Asiago. That's my favorite. Oh, yes.
Little savory with there. Some people like Swiss and some people like American. There are different types of cheeses, and so our desires will look different. So the things we really need to know are, number one, the maze represents where we are looking for it, and the cheese represents what we're looking for. And when your cheese moves, I know we said that, and that people read the book, it's like, who moved my cheese? Who moved my cheese? And the other thing is, when your cheese moves, you're like, my cheese moved, I need to move. My cheese is not here. My cheese has moved. So the cheese represents what we want in life. Are you all excited? Now, if you have not read the book, we encourage you to get the book. It's great for individuals. Yes. It's great for a family. And it's great for corporations and in the corporate place. We both work with ladies who are in the corporate space, and businesses have used it. So this book helps us to know about change. Now, I want to share with you, we're going to pull up some things here, the handwriting on the wall. So the story is about mainly the two characters, Hall, which left and found his cheese. And as he was on his journey, he wrote things on the wall. And these were principles that his buddy, him, could follow as him was going through the maze trying to find the cheese. So Tiffany, tell us what these writings are, the handwriting on the wall.
Okay, so the first one was change happens. They keep moving the cheese. And I love the mindset behind that because there's like a subliminal message there. They keep moving the cheese.
They.
It's they. What about you? Like immediately when I read that, I was like,
yeah.
Okay, you see the cheese has moved, but you want to say they moved the cheese. Yes, they moved the cheese, but what are you going to do about it, right? Anticipate change. Get ready for the cheese to move. How many of us, again, can anticipate change? And once we anticipate that change, do we really take the time to prepare for the change?
Yes.
Like Dr. Angela said, she's not one of those that will haul around, right? Or play on words here. But she may not be one of those early adopters, right? Where I'm always looking for a change. I'm like, they up to something. What they doing? But anticipating the change doesn't make us paranoid. It just makes us prepared, right? Not paranoid, but prepared. So get ready for your cheese, your opportunity, your moment to move.
Yes.
And then monitor change. Smell the cheese often so you know when it's getting old. There is nothing like old, stale cheese. Asiago cheese does not smell good when it's not fresh. Okay. It's great when you go to the cheese counter and you smell your Asiago, you take it home. But if you leave it in the refrigerator for 2 weeks, it don't smell the same. But if you don't smell that cheese often, you will never know that it's changing, that it's aging, that it no longer brings the nutrients you want or the experience and the taste that you desire when you're having it with your crackers or your olives or whatever, right? So you have to be willing to smell your cheese often so you know when it's getting old, right? You don't want old stuff. And then adapt to change quickly. The quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you can enjoy the new cheese. Quick story here. I've been holding on to some old cheese, y'all. I had an amazing job, love my job, been almost out of that job a whole entire year. But I love my job and I was good at my job. And my job paid me well, okay? But that's old cheese. That cheese is old. Right now it's probably rotted, okay? It's past old. And new cheese is constantly being presented to me. So this past weekend, what I decided to do was to explore the new cheese. And when I tell you that cheese tastes real good, it's a whole new cheese I had never tasted before. So while I love my Asiago, now I'm actually, one cheese I literally never liked, play on words, was sharp cheddar. But I love me some sharp cheddar. So now that I'm, indulging in this sharp cheddar, this new opportunity, this new door, it tastes different, but it's bringing newness to my life. It's bringing a new opportunity. It's bringing new people. It's bringing new perspective. So adapting to the change will allow you to get further in the process. And then Dr. Angel, I'm going to let you finish out the handwriting on the wall.
Yeah, so that is so amazing. And it tells us, be ready to change quickly and enjoy it again and again. They keep moving the cheese. So as we are sharing with you and telling you, we have to be aware, we have to pay attention, and we have to be willing. And in that awareness, we can recognize it. And so we both have stories about, like you said, being in a place and when it's ready to move, because life is about making what I call them power moves. We have to make decisions. We step out into things and we shift the smaller changes. There are times when we pivot major changes and then we step. So are you positioning yourself to our amazing audience? Amazing audience. Are you positioning yourself to recognize when things are changing? Are you sniffing, right? So that you can sniff out the changes. And are you making the shifts when it's time to change? So some things to think about, because the handwriting is on the wall. And we're super excited to bring to you these stories about change, how you can manage it. Because guess what? When your cheese moves, guess what they need to do, Tiffany? When
They need to move with the cheese. You need to
they need
go find new cheese because remember, that cheese is probably aged, right?
to.
And it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay.
Cheese
It's
has a certain
okay.
shelf life. Yeah, like Tiffany said, it is
That's
okay.
good. I like that. A
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
shelf life. I'm going to remember that one. I'm going to
Shelf
remember
life.
that one.
So at the
Yes.
end of Who Moved My Cheese, it says, move with the cheese and enjoy it! Exclamation point. The end. Dot, dot, dot. Or is it a new beginning? So here we are with Out of the Maze. This is the sequel. Now, I want you to notice that out of the maze, there's an apple there in place of the O. And if you notice at the top of the screen, there's the apple because now we're in out of the maze. And at the bottom of the screen, it was Who Moved My Cheese? So the story continues with Out of the Maze. Now, when we start the story, like in the beginning, right, we have our character, him, hemming around. You have to read the story because these words, the names will make sense. The sniff of the mouse, sniffing out change, scurry, taking action. Haw, he was a little, slow on the uptake, but when he got going, and him just hemmed around and hemmed around, and him got stuck because the subtitle of this is An Amazing Way to Get Unstuck. So the story opens with him still hemming around. And Tiffany, before I go to the facts of the matter, whatever you want to tell the audience about him, because him was just still in there, upset because the cheese was gone.
I think it ties back to the actual first book, right? Who Moved My Cheese? Because his perspective, his mindset was who moved my cheese. It was always that. It was
Mm-hmm.
never him. Play on words, right? Him.
Yeah.
Him never took responsibility for him. Because we
Yes.
have to take responsibility for us. He
Mm-hmm.
knew the cheese had moved, but
Mm-hmm.
he kept projecting onto the people that
Mm-hmm.
moved the cheese.
Yes.
But what was he going to do about the cheese being moved? How many
Mm-hmm.
times have we seen that change is coming
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
haven't prepared for it?
Yeah.
Case in point, we're in the
Yeah.
middle of a world change, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We saw it coming, but did we
Mm-hmm.
truly prepare for it? Or did we say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, there'll be a little change
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be okay, But did we prepare for it? And when I say
Mm-hmm.
prepare for it, I mean mentally,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally,
Yeah.
physically,
Yeah.
financially.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are certain things that we needed to do to prepare from the simple mindset of saying, I'm not going to watch certain things. I'm not going
Yeah.
to comment on certain things. I'm
Yes.
not going to say certain things. I'm not going to I'm not going to partake in certain behavior because I need to prepare for this change for the betterment of myself. When we
Mm-hmm.
introduced ourselves, we talked about how we do totally different things, but we have the same common ground and we have the
Mm-hmm.
same resolution we want to see, right? We want to see women, professional women, take better care of themselves. So,
Mm-hmm.
because of that, we're always ready to prepare you guys
Mm-hmm.
to really practice self care. Part of that self care is making a decision to be willing to change inside
Mm-hmm.
and out, right? So I
Yeah.
hope that helps with the anticipation about Out the Maze because I was telling Dr. Angela, I Who Moved My Cheese was my favorite, but I don't know now because Out the Maze is it's deep. So we're about to go deeper. We're about to go
Yeah,
deeper.
yeah. And I love, Tiffany, the way you highlighted for us the play on words. You said him, which was his name, Hem, never took responsibility for him, Him. we all have to take responsibility, personal responsibility, and it is about prioritizing self. And women, we many times prioritizing self is difficult. We're nurturers, and then society tells us we need to take care of other people. And then there's some different mindsets, because this is about mindsets, some things that come in. So we each have to take individual responsibility, personal responsibility to prioritize, and like Tiffany said, to make decisions. So him hemmed around, but he was able to do some things. And so at the start of his journey, I want to show you what he had. He wrote the facts of the matter down on the sheet of paper, and then he took these facts of the matter and he put the piece of paper in his pocket, and he put the paper in before he got started on the journey. So Tiffany, let's go ahead and tell the audience about the facts of the matter.
The facts of the matter. There were 3. So number 1 was, I have to find more cheese. If I don't, I'll die. How finite is that statement? How many of us get to a point with change, or get to that point with change? I have to find more cheese. If I don't, I'll die. For some of us, it takes us to get there, right? If I don't find more, fill in what your cheese is, right? If I don't, I'll die. Number 2, the maze is a dangerous place, full of dark corners and blind alleys. Is it? There's that mindset. There's that mindset again. He believed that the maze was dangerous. He believed it was full of dark corners and blind alleys. And then number 3, it's up to me. I'm on my own. Are you really? Yes, it's up to you, but are you really on your own?
Yeah. So it's important that we take, thank you, Tiffany, personal responsibility, but we're not in this alone. I love what my brother says. He says, we're doing life together. We have people in our inner circle. We have people who are associates. We have people that we may come in contact with periodically. So we're not in this alone. And him felt like he was alone in Who Moved My Cheese. And that was part of the decisions that he made. But in this book, Out of the Maze, something amazing happened. So we are introduced to a new character. So him wrote the facts of the matter on paper, put it in his pocket, and then he starts off, he meets someone. So who is this new character, Tiffany?
He meets a little person. Now, y'all remember in Who Moved My Cheese, we talked about the little people, right? So he meets a little person. Now, guys, you got to pay attention as we're discussing this, because these names are powerful. Yeah. He meets a little person, and this little person's name is Hope. Hope. Now, he meets her early in the story. I want you to catch that, because when we left off with Who Moved My Cheese, he was kind of in despair. He was still, they moved my cheese. We pick up with Out of the Maze, and he basically is like, if I don't find new cheese, I'm gonna die. But he ain't moved yet. He ain't done nothing different yet. My mindset hasn't shifted yet. And then he meets a little person named Hope. So you got to pay attention to what's happening to get the gist of the story. So he meets this little person. So Dr. Angela, take us a little deeper here.
Yeah, so he meets Hope, and Hope, the definition is the expectation of good. Wow. And when we remember back to the handwriting on the wall, one of the things we have to think about is expecting. What are you expecting? What are you believing for? What are you planning for and preparing for? If you expect good because the glass is half full, then you see good. If you expect a not so great outcome because the glass is half empty, then that's what you will see. That's what you will pick up on. So Hope is introduced to say, expect good. And we also see that he invites her on the journey. So when he started off, when Hall left, he was alone. He was afraid. He was frustrated. He was angry. He made an important decision, not only to look for cheese, but he decided that he didn't have to do this alone. So one of the facts of the matter, he thought he had to do it alone, but he didn't. And we also, not only do we see this new character, but instead of cheese, what was introduced in this book, Tiffany?
I was saying, when I started reading this book, they were describing this new substance, and I wasn't quite getting it. I was like, what? Like, I kept, because I'm visual, right? And I was trying to, what is it? What is it? What is it? Because I want to build the anticipation. I want to understand what's happening. And, Hope was describing it. And I was like, what in the world? And I was nowhere near. So he was introduced to something that he never anticipated of having, because all he ever saw or all he ever expected was cheese. But he was introduced to an apple.
An apple. He was introduced to something new. And when we change, sometimes we're introduced to new people, we're introduced to new things, and later we'll learn about new places. So we're going to spend the next couple of minutes, because we told you there's a part 2, but we want to introduce you to just hear about the way out of the maze, the way out of the maze. And so we're going to talk about 2 of these in the few minutes that we have left. And Tiffany's going to read the first and the second one to us. We're going to talk about that, and then we want you to stay on the edge of your seats for part 2. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Notice your beliefs. A belief is a thought that you trust is true. You trust that this belief in a thought is true. And number 2, don't believe everything you think. Some facts are just how you see things. Wow.
Notice your belief. Yeah. Now, Tiffany, tell them what we were talking about before we were in the green room about mindset. Let me take this off about mindset.
Mindset is everything, because it's really how you see things, right? You see it that way, so your mind is set on it. Mindset. Your mind is set on what you see. I'm gonna say that one more time, because that was a mouthful, right? Your mind is set on what you see. So that's your mindset. So back to the apple, right? Now, in Who Moved My Cheese, it was cheese. That's all he knew.
Yeah.
That's all he knew. But we get to out of the maze, he's introduced to something new. It was not cheese. An apple and cheese is totally different. Now, they taste good together, totally different, right? So here's a whole new concept. The consistency is different. The color is different. The taste is different. The way in which you consume it is different. You can peel it. You can eat it with the peel on. All the things are different. It has seeds, cheese does not. So his mindset had to change.
Yes.
So your mindset is what you set your mind on. Are you willing to open it up, dial it back, dial it forward, move it right, move it left, move it up, move it down? Are you willing to change, to become pliable in how you see something or how you believe something in order to achieve where you're trying to go next?
Yes. Are you all writing? Are you all jotting? Are you all catching the maze and the cheese? Now we're in the apple and the differences, and you don't have to do it alone. There is people that you can take this journey with. So we are getting out of the maze, and we are learning about new things in this book, Out of the Maze. Well, we are going to pause this discussion because we have more to share with you. But it's important that you know how to, because you are going to want to chop it up, as we say, a little bit more about these concepts of change and being adaptable and flexible, and about mindset. So I want to share with you here, and Tiffany is going to share with you about how you can, let me see if it's going to stay, get in touch with her to learn more about SOAR and her products.
Awesome. So you can contact me via my website, tiffanyreasley.com, or you can email me at admin, ADMIN, at tiffanyreasley.com, and we can definitely dive into mindset. We can dive into source strategies. We can dive into whatever it is you need to continue to move into the new things that are in store for you.
So say that one more time, Tiffany, in case somebody just joined us, they can go ahead and know how to find you.
So my website is Tiffany R. Easley, and then you can email me at admin, so ADMIN, at tiffanyreasley.com.
Wonderful. So we are talking about change and adapting, and Tiffany is empowering women to soar and all of those great things. And so let me see where, you know how sometimes things just come up. So I am going to share with you my email address is info@angelahmspeaks.com to learn more about Live Great Lives Holistic Wellness Coaching, where we offer individual coaching and also group coaching. We have the group coaching coming up. And I want you to know that work-life balance is more than time management. It's about freedom. It's about vibrant health and vitality. So as women, professional women, we need resources that are customized just for us so that we can not survive, but we can thrive in all facets of life. So you have the information to connect with us. And I'm going to, we have our names there. So we were excited to bring this to you. Out of the Maze, the sequel to Who Moved My Cheese. We're going to pick up in part number 2, discussing these principles on how you can get out of the maze. So we look forward to seeing you in the next presentation in part number 2. It's our pleasure to serve, and we want you to soar and live your great life. Until next time, remember, there is a way out of the maze.